Yes, 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 yes.
Strong
What is
start.
up, everybody? Joshua Casper here with Beatport, Plug-in Boutique, and the one and only Beardyman. How are you today?
I'm alright. Let's cancel that.
Yeah, let's
music.
get that. Let's get out of there.
I'm good. How are you?
Can't complain. It's a beautiful day outside.
It is.
Lovely overcast day in the UK.
Yeah. That's how we roll.
It is
with
how
clouds.
It's surprisingly everybody in the US says that that's what the London is like, and it absolutely is.
Absolutely. We deliver on our promises.
You really do each and every
Terrible
time.
weather.
Nice.
I nearly swore there. There'll be no swearing on this stream, and everything will work. Nothing will break.
Exactly.
We'll be professional at all times. Informative, entertaining.
I will send out that positive affirmation into the universe. Everybody watching will do the same, and we'll just know that you are, and you're going to hold it down.
I'm holding it down right now.
You are doing a very good job.
I'm holding it down is just in the stream of life.
So I just want to let everybody know, today we're going to do another Studio Secrets session. So not only are we going to get Mr. Beardyman to do some incredible performances, all with your mouth, correct? Is every single sound on the beat that we just heard made by your mouth, or are there any samples or synth patches or anything like that?
That beat was all my voice, but I also might just cheekily sample your voice for a laugh. When I'm doing streams, I will often have my Patreon patrons talking, and I'll be sampling them. So it's their voices too. And I've also got this thing, so I can sample from that too.
Was that pan flute music I just heard?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we'll get into that. We'll get into all of it.
Yes, I'm excited. I mean, that's what I was just in the middle of saying, is that not only are we going to get to see and hear some performances, but we're actually going to get to check out the behind the scenes and how you do what you do. And let me just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, being here right now, it is overwhelming. I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I'm excited to dive in and find out how you do what you do.
Shall I show them? Shall I show them on
Let's
another view?
go through all of the cameras right now, just to show.
Okay, so we've got, so that's Ableton that runs it. That's that, and then I can hone in on all the iPads individually, and you can see what's going on. 4
iPads, correct?
Yeah.
Launchpad.
Lots of fun. Yeah. So to sum up, I suppose and then we could be in a spaceship.
it's actually legit what it feels like in here.
And you can, I can be scratching with whatever weirdness I found on the internet, which is fun. But yeah, not just yet. Or shall I like demonstrate what it does first?
I actually think that's a brilliant idea. Why don't you go ahead and take it away and just show people,
right.
give them a little taste of what Beardyman does.
I'll show you what I figured out was fun to do during lockdown.
have it. Yes. Yes. Do you feel it?
We're in the spaceship now.
Oh, thank goodness. I mean, I have to know, that was 100% improvised just now.
Yeah. I would like to plan things, but I misspent youth, maybe, brain, not remember
Brainy, no
things.
function.
Brainy is no work. So yeah, I'm forced to improvise because my brain is
But I mean,
terrible.
some people watching might not believe like that was entirely improvised, 100%, and you made all of those noises come from this area. That's
My face.
the fit,
Yes.
the beard, the beard.
Beard. It's the beard that gives me all my power.
I mean, I'm not just saying this because I'm here with you, but it's absolutely astounding.
Oh, bless you.
When you do your live shows, by the way, lots of tour dates coming up, correct?
Tons. Come and see me on them. You'll love it. It's great.
But this is what people can expect.
This and more. There'll be drum and bass. There'll be breakbeat. There'll be sort of trappy kind of things. Glitchiness. Like
Techno?
techno. It's
UK
all
drill.
the things.
Hip-hop, trip-hop.
No UK drill. I can't really pull it off.
Really? Why?
What
What is it about UK drill that doesn't...
It's very aggressive and I'm just very placid and fundamentally quite dull. But I do like disgusting electronic beats.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some face melty come from Beardyman before.
I can face melt,
Yeah.
but I, like with the braggadocio and the bars,
Gotcha.
can't quite do the bars.
Gotcha.
But the beats.
The beats. You got
So
the
there
beats.
might be some UK drill style beats, but I don't know if I classify it as drill necessarily. I don't know. Genres are weird because they're just sets of rules,
Right.
and you can choose to obey them, and then
100%.
you've got yourself a genre piece.
Like, what even genre was that last piece we just heard?
Was that progressive house?
I would say
Tech
progressive-y.
house? I think progressive, yeah.
The Beatport community would know better than I about how to classify certain
They
things
would.
into genre.
Place your bets now.
Yeah.
What was?
We're
I
gonna
think that
actually-
was progressive house. Oh, sorry, I'm going to break the illusion of the hologram just to shut my door.
Whoa.
Whoa, they're not really in a
Where does he
spaceship.
go?
This whole thing's built on a lie.
But someone was actually asking if they can find the track they heard at the beginning that actually had a sample of me in the background, like somewhere to download. But the thing is, my friends, is no, he did that just before the stream, and it was a completely improvised set that he's just done. We are recording this, though, and
We are.
we'll throw up some
Oh
highlight
wow, and
clips.
we've been recording for like an hour already.
Yep.
I should have not done that.
But we will throw up highlight clips on YouTube so you'll be able to hear different tracks and different parts of this conversation. And when we walk through, it's called the Beardytron. Is it still called the Beardytron?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I call it my rig these days because actually the Beardytron was this thing that I had built, which did like the same thing as this essentially, but I had it built in C++, which is like a pretty low-level language, and it's like the language that most people use to write audio software. And I had a bunch of programmers, like some of the best in the business,
Right.
literally the best in the business, like write me this thing from the ground up in C++, and it was an incredibly intensive period of like software development where I was like leading a team of software developers knowing nothing about like how to code, how to structure a program, how to lead a software team. And I learned on the job how to like get by, but really the head dev was, for the beginning part of it anyway, was Dave Gamble of DMG Audio. And DMG Audio,
Good friend.
big shout out. They're
Yep.
amazing. They do, they made this plugin, which was, it's an EQ. I can't even remember what it's called now, but it got 10 out of 10 in every single like plugin review publication, which has never happened in the history of plugins, to my knowledge. So he was the guy that like started building this Beardytron thing. But this is not that. So like I kind of shelved that project after like maybe 5 years of using exclusively that because it was expensive to iterate. So like I now know that if you're going to make a piece of software, it's the maintenance of the code which is the biggest task. If you write a piece of software, you know, you're only halfway there.
Right.
It's iterating on it, being a bit more agile, you
Right.
know, adding features as you go. it's once you've started using it, you really figure out what you should have built in the first place.
And then you got to go back.
And then, yeah, you've got to kind of unpick things and refactor. And
So what are we looking at now?
but
What is this written with?
Yeah, well, this is just kind of mostly standard off-the-shelf plugins, and it's what's a good view to show so I can show you the rig. So it's Ableton, and to my knowledge, I'm one of the few people using Ableton in the way that it was kind of originally designed to be used. Like when I was first trying to build this thing out, I was looking at people like Mr. Bill, who at that point was playing out live with Ableton, and this was back when controllerism was a thing,
Right.
where you had to like throw together. You're probably old enough to remember this. Like
That's not nice.
You're doing well though. You look great. No, but like, like controllerism was this. It was this term in like I don't know 2004, 5, 6. It first came along, maybe earlier, but like. It was, you'd take one of the few controllers that existed at the time, you'd rip buttons off and you'd kind of repurpose it and maybe like circuit bend it or whatever, like try to control things like Ableton with controllers. Now, of course, there is this abundance of controllers, so the term controllerism is kind of moot, it's kind of redundant. But Ableton was first made to be a live tool, and nobody
Hence
uses
the
it for
name.
that anymore.
Ableton
Ableton
Live.
Live, right.
Yep.
Now it's a DAW like any other with kind of the ability to bend and stretch audio really freely, which is, I think Ableton does that the best out of any of the DAWs. Like,
I agree.
Fruity Loops is also kind of fun. It's not something that I have ever actually actively used, but from what I've seen, it's you know, sound becomes quite malleable. But I mean, Ableton is. That's what Ableton was originally built to do. It was like essentially a tracker that you could kind of freely, you know, choose which row was going to be playing at any given moment. But yeah, most people use this view now.
Yeah, arrangement view.
Yeah,
That would be.
it's going to take a second to switch over. But yeah, I don't like. I now exclusively, almost, pretty much. Yeah, I now exclusively use Ableton for whatever project I'm doing. Just because it's my DAW of choice. I used to use Logic for years. But yeah, when I started building this thing out, I was looking at people like Mr. Bill, and God, I mean, he's the only one I can bring to mind at the moment, but there's tons of others who were doing really interesting things with Ableton and using it to play out with. I'm sure that there are still people... Tom Cosm as well.
Yeah.
But like, there are still lots of people that use Ableton for its original intended use of being a live tool, but increasingly, it's just a DAW like any other, because DAWs now have this kind of, like you've got like Massacre Hine from Native Instruments, you know, which is machine. It's got like a machine.
I don't think anyone knows how you're
machine.
I have no idea how it's actually pronounced.
So that brought in this kind of thing, like Logic now also has this, what would you call it? Non-linear workflow, I suppose, where you can put your columns or rows or whatever into your track and then non-linearly make your track by choosing in the spur of the moment which you want to play at any given moment.
Right, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and Ableton were the first to kind of do that in DAW.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's why I use Ableton. It's because like, I mean, well, there's another Bitwig as well, is built on the Ableton model, and I think Bitwig is like the top 3 developers from Ableton that left in disgust at the addition of...
we don't know. We don't know anything about what happened over there. Yeah.
No, but like, so that's the other thing about Ableton as well, is that it's got Max for Live. So the whole of Max MSP essentially is built into Live, or accessible from Live. Yeah, so there's that as well. So in here, there is a fair bit of Max MSP, and actually the way that I use Ableton as a looper, I mean, I don't know how deep you want to get into it right now.
Yeah, we can.
You can ask questions, but like essentially, yeah, without Max MSP, I wouldn't be able to use Ableton to do this stuff. But it's not that much Max MSP. It's just like a few things that weren't built into Ableton. You can kind of, you know.
Well, I mean, you just asked, you know, how deep we want to get, and I have thousands of questions for you as a music producer, as someone who uses Ableton Live, and as a fan of yours who's watched you do what you do for many years now. But we also want to leave questions open to the chat. So if you're watching on Twitch, just at Beatport official with your questions, and those questions will be fed to me, and we can ask them of Beardyman along the way. But I think we're going to switch over to the iPad situation over here.
Situation.
I mean, that's the best.
It's quite
that's the
a
best I can describe
situation.
it. I mean, it is
This stuff.
intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So we've got 4 iPads.
Yes, 4 iPads. And they're all running something called Lima. And the way that this is designed, the iPads don't process any audio. They are interfaces only. They're running this thing called Lima. By the way, shameless plug, if you want to know really, really, really in-depth detail stuff about how this is done, you can find hours of this on my Patreon, and I'm doing Q&As all the time. But for now, yeah. So this.
So these iPads control.
They're running Lima. They control Ableton, and they're doing it over Wi-Fi, which, believe it or not, is actually perfectly stable.
Wow.
So you just need to have a separate router. If you're using when I'm using my home router, it keeps kicking it off. But yeah, I just have a separate router, and it runs great.
So Lima it's very customizable, right? You've essentially made these layouts, and then you tell it what you wanted to control inside Ableton Live.
I can probably show you without crashing the world.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's see what happens. So this is Lima. You can add. The thing is, what's weird about Lima is that actually, Lima were the first to market the just building an interface.
You know who I saw using this
sliders.
first?
You're gonna say Daft Punk, right?
Nope.
No?
5 points if you can guess it on your second guess.
Deadmau5?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
5 points to you, sir.
Hooray, I got 5 points. So yeah, you can build whatever you want. And the great thing about Lima is that you can script as well. So it's got a C-derived scripting language. And yeah, if you want to basically learn to code, then you can...
That's a fun way to do it.
It's the way that I've learned, because I had to. I never intended to learn to code, but I sort of didn't have a choice, because I needed to build. I needed to build this. So there's loads of logic in Lima here that. Okay, let me try and start that sentence again and make it coherent.
Go ahead.
There's so much control that you need to have to be able to make live improvised dance music that even with all the macroization that you have in Ableton, if you want to call it that, if that is a word, you still need to have just tons of logic flying around. So Ableton isn't good at doing conditional logic, really, which is if, then, if this threshold is reached, then do that. It doesn't really do that. You can, using this thing called CliffX, which I experimented a bit with, but I figured I didn't want to have all these third-party dependencies that aren't officially supported by Ableton in my rig. And sure enough, Ableton updated, and they had loads of optimizations and stuff, but they didn't support CliffX because it was using an older version of, I think is it Python? Is it JavaScript? One of the two, God knows. But it didn't support it, so I think I was right to do that. But if you do use CliffX, if you find a way to make it work, it's quite slick, and some people stand by it, because actually you just code directly into Ableton like it's a spreadsheet. The titles of the clips just contain
Max
code.
MSP
it's not
driven?
Max MSP.
Oh
no.
wow, just straight into Live itself.
It's straight into Live. I think it shows up to Ableton Live as an interface.
Oh wow.
As a control surface.
Interesting.
And you interact with it by kind of typing code into the names of the clips. So I don't know, I felt like it was a bit fugly, but it's a perfectly good way of operating Live, and it's much more processor efficient than Max for Live. But it was a world that I didn't quite want to get into, because there's a lot more that can be achieved in Max, because Max it's not very efficient, but you really can build anything you want.
Literally anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty amazing.
But it's very inefficient, so you've got to be careful. And also, but it's a programming environment, so it'll be very inefficient if you've built it badly. But to a certain extent, the objects that exist within Max for Live, within Max MSP, you can't edit them. But they're like library objects that you just can't change. So if they if they run inefficiently, there's nothing you can do.
When Ableton bought Max, was the efficiency not boosted?
Max, no, because Max MSP is one of the oldest active pieces of software in existence. Like it was made in, well, I mean, that's debatable. Like banks use like Fortran still, but if you go back to like 1985, you've got these storied academic, musical institutions that would be trying to sort of push music forward, and they were using computers, but they had to build a new program from scratch, typing away at like a terminal. They'd have like a computer programmer and a composer. It was a really inefficient way of making experimental music. So Max MSP, at that point it was just called Mac. Was it called Max? Yeah, it was just called Max. Anyway, it was developed specifically to make that easier. So it's like a visual node-based programming language, and it's one of the first like visual node-based programming languages. But it's been superseded since by, without going into loads of nerdy detail, like if you look at the modern node-based programming paradigms and things like game engines and game engines is where you'll find like the best implementations of it. Specifically Unreal Engine, they have really efficient node-based editors, but there's still, with node-based stuff, you can never quite get as. This is really nerdy now, but like
lots of 3D programs that like Blender has.
Right, Blender has it. Yeah, exactly. So like, but that's the only way that you can have really deep access to, the kind of features the kind of usability that you can get with these things is by programming them. And node-based programming means that you just point and click, drag a block, you're building your logic visually. But yeah, you can never get the kind of efficiency with that paradigm that you can with raw coding. But Max MSP has been around since the 80s. It was built to solve that problem. And there is a commitment in Cycling 74 that makes Max to keep projects maintainable that were written in 1980. When was it? 1980 something. That it was. But so that's a problem. You've got this incumbency.
It's like Microsoft distributable.
Yeah.
Stuff where you can't delete it because it might mess up something.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
So if you're always building on like a paradigm from the 80s, it's not going to get that much more efficient. Or if you have to maintain everyone's projects, I mean, any piece of software comes with that problem. It's like how do you please users and solve problems without annoying the existing user base because it's broken something that they were relying on. Yeah. How do we get into this? This is very nerdy.
Yeah, I feel like we were really nerdy really fast. But listen, why don't you do another tune, and then we'll come in and get into some of the specifics about how you process your voice.
Okay. All right. Well, have we got any inspiration from anyone? Is anyone saying anything? And I'll try and like.
Let me see. Oh, we've got questions.
Something.
We got questions for days here. Let me see. Do you still do gigs where you call out and mix genres from the audience, like suggestions from the audience, or is that a thing of the past? Maybe let's talk about your tour coming up.
So these days, rather than asking people for genres, I just plunge a mic into the crowd and people chat, breeze.
You can actually sample me right now and usually 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 sample me. I never know when to come back in because it feels like every breakdown you're going to bring it back into a completely new track.
Sorry.
It's not a complaint, my friend. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. We got some more questions if you're up for it.
I am so up for it.
People just joining us, we're here with Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper, and if you have any questions for the man, the myth, the legend, tag at Beatport official with those questions, and I will get them on my phone and we'll ask him. So we got someone asking, how often do you change the templates on the tablets?
So I guess the only way to answer that is that this is a work in progress and it's always changing. And I have to be careful how many changes I make and when I make them. So right now, because I am on tour and the next one is like next week, I have to do what you might call feature freeze. Nothing new. Right. Don't change a thing. Because, like...
You got to remember.
I've made that mistake before. I've learned the hard way. you change something because you've got some brilliant idea of how something can work better or whatever, and you've broken it, and now your show's fucked. Oh,
Yeah, your show is in trouble.
your show is in trouble. Serious trouble. So yeah, feature freeze, baby. It's the way.
Yeah,
the only way to survive.
I can only imagine because you're doing so much all at one time to make the breakdowns, the build-ups, and if you've moved the button, and
Right.
muscle memory is saying, hit the third button, the third red button from the left,
Yeah.
and you've moved that.
So
I can.
I try and give it like a coherent like design language in terms of the sort of interaction with it
Gotcha.
and the way things are laid out. And there's something called Fitts law in UX design, which is about the size and the availability of a button and how that should have a proportional relationship to the frequency with which you would wish to use it.
Right.
So bigger things that you need greater accuracy
Like that
for and
filter
use all
right
the
there,
time.
for example.
Big old filter on the bottom. I'll show you. There. So like, yeah, that just behind you
Oh,
in
let me
virtual
just-
space.
Is it?
Dug down from the filter. Yeah, this thing here. So that's that. So the way that my filters work is, and this took quite a bit of like design and iteration over the years to figure out exactly what I wanted. So it's a high pass there and a low pass there. And so the diagonal will map a band pass.
And is it like a spring-loaded one where it'll always shoot back to off when you release, or?
No, but you can do that in Lima. And I do have a few things that do spring. So this, for example, you can't see it. Which one is that? That's the top right. Yeah, so this one springs. But Lima doesn't do that automatically, so I had to... Oh, yeah. Ba, 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 ba. So I had to, like, write a bit of code that just said, like, it knows when your finger is on a thing or not. So you just have to say, if your finger is not on it, then set it to 0.
Right.
Which gives it the springy.
springiness.
So it's like a couple of lines of code, and that does it.
Does
So
it-
yeah,
does
there's
it- another
loads
question.
of this stuff in it.
Does it
Loads of
automatically jump to the frequency cutoff position based on the first point you touch in the XY grid, or do you have to bring it like physically from the corner up to do like a filter sweep?
Right. So in Lima, there are a bunch of different ways that these objects can work, and you can have it so that it can interpolate smoothly between where your new finger position is and where the old finger position is, or you can have it so it jumps immediately, which is what I've got it set to on, I think, everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, talking about Lima in detail is, like, these guys don't even really maintain Lima anymore. They've just released a new version of Lima, and it's their first update in years and years and years and years and years.
It's about time.
They are, yeah, I mean, they are updating it, but they're mostly apparently making avionics these days. So,
Okay.
like, flight systems for aeroplanes.
That's a big shift.
Yeah, and like you're saying,
That's
like
a big pivot.
Deadmau5 used to use this. I used to use this as well on the physical piece of hardware. So there was like this. We're talking like 2005. It was the first ever commercially available touch surface, like multi-touch surface, and it was a physical piece of hardware. By today's standards, it was bad. It was like a cash point, like physical resistive
remember.
touch, and it was great. It was great, but like it very quickly got superseded by the iPad, which came out like a few years after. So, yeah, TouchOS C became the sort of, industry standard, and Lima became this kind of legacy ware, but they maintained it actively for a while. But TouchOS C now does way deeper stuff than Lima can do, and I'm in contact with the TouchOS C guys, and I'm talking to them. I'm in touch with the Lima guys as well. There's another piece of interface building software, which is called Open Stage Control.
Okay.
And that is basically JavaScript. And if you can make a website, then you can make your own touch interface. And that's another completely different paradigm, much more on the kind of web dev kind of paradigm, which, without going into too much detail, the distinction only becomes important when you're actually in the midst of building the thing. In terms of like using an interface that's built in it, you'd never know. But like just the way that you lay things out, it's like small differences. But like, I don't know. It's it's like simultaneously a dying art, like making your own controllers.
No, nonsense.
But at the same time, TouchOS Mark II's just come out, and there are people doing wild stuff on that. And so my plan is to kind of move over to that because I've pushed Lima to its limits. Like Lima has this thing where if it receives too many messages back, so the paradigm that I use for this is that like a Nord keyboard, I want everything to be available all the time. So if something changes in Ableton, I have to see that it's changed so I can unchange it. So
Right.
I think there's no hidden parameters at all.
How many? Do you know the number of parameters like available right now that I'm looking at?
Well, so I've got funky little things that hide complexity. Where is it? Let me show you the top right one.
I hope everybody watching is appreciating the complexity
It's
of this.
pretty
rig.
mad. So there's like a thing here. This is like you can't even, can you see? Is that the right one? Top right? No, it's top left. Here we go. And it's a crazy thing. I must be nuts.
That's the one.
But all right, so this thing here, you can't really see. It's a two-way XY contained in a tiny little box. So there's like.
So I was just seeing you.
So
can
that's
actually
two.
drag
That's the tiny little space, but there's. Yeah, you can sort of drag
outside
a cursor
the perimeter,
around by
like
so long as you've placed your finger within the box, you can then
go wherever you want.
go wherever you want, and there's like a ratio of finger movement to measured cursor movement.
Wild.
So so there's lots of like compactification of stuff. This tuning thing here is for the sampler. Weirdly, it isn't working. Oh no, it's for this. Sorry. But you can hear the cars. Let me shut this window. It's only because when you've got like two grown men in a small studio, it can start to hum. So I just open the window. No, so check it. So there's no glamour in music tech.
We didn't even have to bring it up. But now that it's out there.
Sorry, we've both showered. It's fine. Okay, so check it. So with this tuning thing here, if you release it while you are sort of in line with the button, then it switches back to 0. If you release it while it's not in line with the button, it will remember where it was. So I don't know how much control you want to call that. So I wouldn't know how to measure the amount of parameters that are in here because some of the parameterization, and especially the logic, is in code, in
like
scripts in
multifunction.
here, and then in terms of raw number of parameters, so I'm using Tornado for most of the effects.
Shout out Sugar Bites.
Shout out Sugar Bites. So actually, if you want to use Tornado, there's a whole raft of presets that I've made.
Oh yeah.
Because like.
Available in the plugin if you
just standard in the plugin because like I was pushing this thing beyond its capabilities and I was contacting specifically Robert at Tornado and he's amazing.
Robert, you said.
Yeah.
Shout out Robert.
Shout out Robert Tornado. But like I was like, look, I know Tornado is supposed to be this FSU device, this kind of mad glitchy thing, but I really just want to use it as my entire effects chain.
Right.
Because it can do this crazy thing that is quite uncommon to find where depending on when you turn a parameter and actually switch on an effect block, that will dynamically change the order of effects in the chain.
Oh wow.
Can we get this nerdy? This has been really nerdy. Is this
chat, let us know if this is too much.
Too nerdy.
If it shouldn't be. I'm enthralled, and I have Tornado, and we carry it on Plugin Boutique, so definitely check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, let us know in the chat if you think this is too nerdy. But I mean, we've got more questions if you want to keep going.
Yeah.
Or we can stick on Tornado if you want.
Yeah, well, so Tornado is really low latency, low CPU, very efficient. The effects aren't necessarily what you might want to use if you're doing the next bloody, giant pop record with a
Right, like
but maybe you would
like an arrangement view. But it is a not only.
But maybe you would it sounds fine.
Yeah,
it sounds great, and for the purposes of this,
it's absolutely
great.
fun to play with too, as
It's
like
great.
a DJ effect. If you use Live to DJ too, it's just a great multi effect that's fairly easy to use, but does have advanced parameters if you want to get in and get tweaky with it.
Yeah, getting tweaky with it. Slap. No, so so there was I had a need for it to fulfill the job of actually being like a sort of end-to-end effects solution. So Robert at Sugar Bites just did that for me. He was like, okay, what do you need it to do? And
Wow.
within reason, though, because there's still like a paradigm that he was building it within.
Right.
We were going to play a drinking game, by the way. Every time I say paradigm, take a sip. No, don't.
Wow,
Don't.
I forgot.
Corporate social responsibility.
I left my beverage outside. I'm upset I can't play.
Yeah. But I don't know. I've got good relationships with the developers of all the VSTs that I use because I'm like a thorn in their side. I'm like, start using something and I'm like, can it do
I don't think
this?
it's that at all. I mean, you're stress testing the equipment and you're pushing it. You're pushing the boundaries of what the plugins can do. So I don't think. I mean, sure, they might not want a Beardyman email at 2 a.m.
I try not to. I really try not to, but sometimes I just can't help myself.
But they're just like you and want the plugins to be better. And I'm sure they're nothing but happy.
Well, I've hit the wall a few times with developers where they really want to like accommodate all my ideas because they're like, that's great, I'll happily put that in. And then the interface gets full and they're like, listen, I can't put any more things in. I'd have to have like a separate fold-out menu thing, so just stop now.
But listen. Speaking of latency, we've got a question here about someone said they heard you do a live harmony with some sort of plugin, and they're wondering how you achieved it with zero latency.
And
if you could show, not tell, that'd be fantastic.
Right. So there's a thing called Manipulator. Manipulator is amazing.
Shout out Polyverse.
Shout out
Infected
Polyverse,
Mushroom, I believe.
Infected Mushroom. Well, Infected Mushroom, I don't think they coded it, but I think they were deeply involved in
the production. I'm not sure if it was. I'm pretty sure Manipulator is one of the ones they collaborated.
Their name is on it. I think it's like it's a collaboration of some sort. I don't know how deep their collaboration was, but yeah, Polyverse are one of the unsung like geniuses of the plugin world.
Check out Polyverse and plugmatique.com.
Like this needs to get more. This needs to be recognized for what it is. It's amazing. So
show us how it works.
Right. So, God, have I even properly used it yet? So all the. All those noises.
So those are just
are all
preset
Manipulator.
States.
Yeah, it's just messing around with Manipulator. That's all it is.
Can you give us a before and after? Maybe show us what you're doing.
Okay, so ba 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 ba. So actually, so for a while I was using a subharmonic synthesizer by I won't even say because I think it might be a competitor.
Listen.
So I think it's like a rival plugin bundler, so I won't even say it.
There are no rivals out here in the game.
No, but like this is the best pitch shifting solution by a mile anywhere. The only things it can't do is pitch correction, like automated pitch correction. Like,
right.
But you can pretty much fake it by just playing it in if you've got some.
Could you not throw like an
vague
auto-tune
keys
after
jobs.
it?
Well, yeah, I do. I actually. La 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 la. So you can do loads of shit stuff. Yeah, you can do. yeah. So Manipulator, it's really transparent when you need it to be. You can play the keys into it, which is awfully useful. Yeah. But beyond that, it can also do really wild stuff. Like, for example,
So, like, you can change the filaments.
that's fine. That's like.
That loads of things can do that. But then you can also do this weird sneering thing. That's fun.
But I don't know how it's doing it. I don't know what it is. I
Do you
assume
need to know?
it's. I want to know because it's like
We gotta reach out.
I use it every day, but like they're not going to like give their secrets away. It's some kind of granular witchcraft, right? But I don't know. So yeah, it's not just that. So you can you can
Do that. You can do this alternator thing.
so
Absolutely wild.
yeah, I wouldn't know how to describe the stuff that it's doing. I
We're
don't
good friends
even
with
like.
them. I'll reach out for you.
Well, I'm
on
in
your behalf.
I'm in contact with them
Okay.
actually, and I did some I've got a quote on their website saying it's amazing, but like it is amazing, and I couldn't do any of this without that. So without Manipulator, couldn't make those noises.
But Manipulator's fairly new. I mean, it's only been up for a couple of years, and you've been doing what you do.
No, it's been around for like, I think 2015?
Is that how long it's been?
2015, 14, something like that. And they haven't changed it. They've not needed to. It's brilliantly designed.
Perfect.
So yeah, check out Manipulator. And the thing is, this is what's crazy about it, is that I do not know how it's doing it, but it's zero latency. Zero latency. I mean, I say zero latency. Sometimes you can feel it starting to drag slightly, but not by much.
And not enough to,
In fact,
throw off your performance.
I can demonstrate. Like so I've got like a wet dry. It's so little latency that you can hear it phasing.
Yeah.
So like in terms of transients, like there's no. Do you know what I mean? If there was a significant amount of latency, you'd hear it as 2 clicks. But
It's actually-
you can't. It's nuts. And
Someone's
nothing does that. Nothing does that. And also the CPU drain is minimal. You can barely. It's amazing.
It can't be granular then. If
I
there's-
don't know
if it's
how-
not, if it's not throttling the CPU, it can't be granular.
God knows. I have no idea how it's
It
doing
is witchcraft in the end.
It's witchcraft, and it's amazing. So, yeah.
Speaking of, it's a good segue. There's another question about transients. So someone's asking, Darren Wolf is asking, how do you do the one-shots, your drums? Is there some sort of automatic transient finding going on, or is it just very good timing? So I'm guessing it's a quantization.
In my old rig, I did have automatic transient detection.
Which would then quantize for you. What's the transient? Why is it finding transient?
So the workflow is, what's a good view to show this? That maybe. The way this currently works
is I'm using something called Crossfade Loop Synth by Expert Sleepers. That really is the core of the sort of live sampling looping thing with this. So you've got these squares, well, it's these little circles on the bottom of this old Launchpad Pro. They sample into the squares above. And each one is a separate instance of Crossfade Loop Synth. So if I go like that, oh, I need to, 1 second.
1 second.
What's happened?
I need to increase the buffer size.
Oh gosh,
Yeah, anyway.
playing with fire.
Should all
right
be, yeah, I know, it's,
Whatever. Right, so that's the thing. It was on like 64 samples, and now it's on 128. So you can kind of feel it now, but it's still pretty minimal. It's like 10 milliseconds or something less. So yeah. So I just have to make sure
that when I'm sampling in, I put my finger on the pad a fraction of a second before I spit the beat. And the reason for that is that, and this is like a user request from me to Expert Sleepers, to put in like a threshold mode. So it's just taking a raw threshold, which is quite a dumb way of doing it. It would be better if it was doing transient detection, but it's just not. That was a bit beyond what Andrew at Expert Sleepers was willing to spend time doing just for me. So, but it works fine. Like, it's very rare that I mess that up. And the real-time quantization is done by a Max for Live object that was built for me by my friend Sebastian. Shout out Sebastian Lexer. If you ever need someone to build you a Max MSP thing, he's your man. I'll try and find an instance of it for you. It's not much to look at, but it's this. It's not the MIDI filter.
That looks like a Max device right there.
Yeah, it's a Max device, and this is it's a live quantizer. And actually, if you want this, I'll make it available on my Patreon.
There you go.
So you can have this.
Shout out Beardy Patreon.
Shout out Beardy Patreon. Patreon.com/Beardyman.
Beardyman.
Beardyman. Yeah. So this is my live quantizer, and the quantization admits of degrees. You can change the swing of the quantization when it's turned on. There you go. So yeah, so I can choose whether. So if I have it turned off, the device is turned off, then there's no quantization. If I turn it on, then it becomes impossible to make a rhythmical error. But it's quite mechanical if it's just quantizing to the next 16th. So you can dial in some swing. Dial in some swing. And the way it does it is just by delaying every other 16th which is musically speaking exactly what swing is.
It does.
Yeah, it's not. So it's not like I could make it more complex. I can make it so it has like groove patterns, which are like I can make it so it's like correcting only within a certain amount. I could change there's loads of stuff that you could do, but I don't really have the need for it. Like sometimes you don't want quantization on at all. Like if you're doing some like glitchy hip hop or something, you definitely don't want quantization. You want the rawness of the human feel. But yeah, that's how that works.
I have someone has put "good idea" here in all caps in the chat.
Oh, I bet it'll be brilliant.
They're saying they need to see you with a collaboration. And you've done some brilliant collaborations in the past, but now there are some new people out there that you must collaborate with. And their suggestion is Mark Rebile.
Yeah. Mark Rebile is a genius.
And younger.
And he looks great in Wirefronts.
Yes, he does. He's a character. I think you two would get along famously, to be honest.
We've spoken, actually.
About collabs?
Well, I helped to design the RC505 Mark II in a sense. I conducted this enormous user survey for Boss.
Okay.
And he was one of the people that I spoke to, and we chatted for ages. It was really fascinating, actually, speaking to him, because he was like, yeah, I'm fine, I don't need any more features. Like, he's very different to me in the sense that, like we both do improvised music, but
he definitely has his own style, doesn't he?
I mean, he's a genius, but he keeps it simple, technologically speaking. But I really don't. Maybe I should.
What about? Have you heard of this cat? I'm sure you've heard of him. Younger.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, you should check him out too. Is another. So the person here, the good idea.
Yeah.
In all caps is you.
Check out Younger.
Mark and Younger together.
I'll check out. Yeah, was it Younger a looper?
He does live looping. It's really incredible stuff.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll check
it out. Yeah. We actually will be doing some content with Younger coming up, so make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And
sweet.
So next up, is the lemur, what's recording the movement over the XY pad and playing it back, or is it Ableton automation?
Hang on, I think I spoke to Younger on Twitter.
Okay, let's.
I'm now remembering that I think I did. So Younger, if you're watching, I think I spoke to you.
It has like 4 million plays
right.
Or something.
No, I think I did. Yeah, there's a lot of internet. It's hard to keep it abreast.
Again, I know him. I'll put you in touch.
Yeah. Well, we met 3 years ago, and then I didn't remember that we had.
Yeah.
I spent all my time in iPads, and the rest of life just disappears from my brain.
This is, again, something we didn't need to bring up, but now that it's out there, yes, we did meet 3 years ago, hung out for the day. It's all right, though. Hey,
I just can never remember who I've met on a screen or in real life.
That's it.
It's
2022. It's
it
perfectly
is.
normal.
Exactly.
I have no hard.
You could be a hologram right now.
Yep.
You might be an AI. This might be a deep fake.
Put us in the ship. Put us in the mothership, the spaceship. How do you do?
Okay, let's go back in the spaceship.
People don't get it. This is how. Oh,
back in the spaceship. Okay,
there it is.
right.
Done. So let's let you off the chain and do another little performance here, and then we'll come back and get into some more about how you do what you do.
Has anyone got any inspiration to inspire?
Well, we're on I think a 30-second delay. So if you have any inspiration right now, at Beatport Official with that inspiration, and we'll try to work it into the next performance.
Okay, let's perform.
Let's make a spectacle of ourselves, shall we? Let's do something with a bit of swing, you know. Did that.
Darren, can you hear me?
That's now in the loop forever.
It's perfect. We have inspiration that I think you absolutely should hear.
Okay, let's go.
Gabba, trance, Mubaton.
Nobody wants to hear Gabba apart from that one person who's gonna ruin the stream.
I like Mumba. If you want to do something, maybe you kind of already have island vibes.
It's kind of like, yeah, it's like an islandy. you know what's up.
You know what's up. You know what's up. That's what's up.
Hey, speaking of Beardyman tour dates.
Yes!
Friday in Brighton?
Yes. I should know these off by heart, but I don't. The only way to find out is to go to my website and check it out.
Is that beardyman.co.uk?
Beardyman.co.uk, yeah. Beardyman.co.uk/tour.
Pretty sure it's chat. Someone go check it out and let us know if it's Brighton on Friday.
Yeah, where am I playing?
I know.
I think it is.
I know some people in Brighton, so I might.
Me too.
Might come
We should
through.
ask them. If you know anyone in Brighton, get them to check on the door of the club.
Gareth,
I think
if
it's
you're in the
Patton's.
chat, Simon, Phil.
Should I check it out now?
Someone
Should I
message
read
me.
it out?
Let's do it right now. I'm
Oh, my manager's shouting at me. He's like, "Why didn't you remember the tour dates? Say the tour dates."
I mean, that is, you
I'm
kinda
so
dropped the
good at
ball,
marketing. I'm so good at it. So Southampton on the 14th, which is next week, Thursday. And then the following day, the Friday, the 15th of April, Brighton. And then the following day, Birmingham on the Saturday, the 16th. And a new
Birmingham?
date. Not Burning Man, but Birmingham.
Ah, okay.
Way less hippie aesthetic and
Never
more
been.
permanent structures. To Birmingham.
Either.
Then never mind. Leeds on the 17th, new date added. So get
new date.
yourself there. Yeah. Then Oxford on the 22nd, Tunbridge Wells on the 23rd, Milton Keynes on the 29th. I am smashing the towns and cities of the UK.
I think
hard.
if you could do it with the accent or the syntax of each one of those regions, I think it would be a little bit better right now for marketing purposes.
It also might just get me like hard cancelled for messing up people's accents.
Yeah,
I don't want to. I don't even want to do that.
You're right.
But yeah, there's loads of days. I'm supposed to be playing in Prague and Linz and Budapest as well. So let's hope that like the world stays functional and then I can go and do that.
No, it'll be fun.
Yeah, well, I'm also in Poland as well, like in the back half of the year. Again, hoping that the world remains.
Do you
a
need
world.
someone to travel out there with you? I mean, to like
Remind me where I'm going.
and to like hold one of the iPads, because I can do that.
Yeah, come along. Let's go crazy.
No. So, beardyman.co.uk/tours. All the dates can be found there, but you seem to be quite busy for April and May, or?
Yeah, there's just like dates dotted around, and I can't remember when they are.
Fantastic.
But yeah, see if I'm coming to your area and book yourself a ticket, or you can't come in.
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
That's how it works. That's the system.
So I might roll through on the Brighton stop.
You're allowed in.
Nice. So someone was asking in the chat, and by the way, if you're watching and you have questions for Beardyman, hit up at Beatport Official or at Plugin Boutique if you're on the Plugin Boutique YouTube. Someone's wondering, who inspires Beardyman?
Everything good. Right now, Dom Whiting is one of my main inspirations. The bike drum and bass guy. He's
Phenomenal.
brilliant.
Shout out Dom, because phenomenal.
Yeah, like he's built this grassroots movement. It's so uplifting. But actually, as a DJ, I really rate his selection and the journey.
Really great.
It's really good. Like a really nice balance of like beautiful like vocal kind of rollers, and then into the hard stuff, the jump up, back out into jungle.
And he's just got a real positive attitude. And it's on a bike.
Yeah.
He's in the rain.
Yeah.
Johan, if you can just throw a link to Dom's YouTube, because they're fantastic DJ sets, real positive guy, and he's getting people out there doing physical activity. So
yeah, it's a movement. It's like the only positive thing to come out of lockdown was like he's like, I'm going to build myself a little DJ rig on a trike,
right,
and just stream to Facebook.
Yeah, it's wild.
And now he has like hundreds of thousands of people following him in the streets.
Yeah, literally, they show up and follow him.
Well, maybe it's not hundreds of thousands. But it's a lot. It's like at least like 1,000 bikes.
I'd say a grand easily, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not hundreds of thousands. That'd be insane.
It'd be awesome, though.
Yeah.
After this stream, there will be.
Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, check out Dom Whiting. No, he's a person that's inspiring me at the moment. Jesus, so I just list people that I find inspiring.
If that's what they want
Caroline Polachek is very inspiring to me because she's like super weird and very elegant and incredibly talented, and manages to make all of this stuff work, where she's got these like bizarre dance moves and incredible vocal dexterity, really interesting, very much like her own vocal style, and the production is fantastic. The songwriting is really interesting. So she's doing pop in a way that is like unusual. She's part of the sort of PC music gang. I was talking about her in the Tom Scott thing that I did the other day. Yeah, I don't know. I find her really inspiring.
What was
'cause
her
she's-
name again?
I feel like there's a very DIY element about what she's doing. You can tell that it's her leading. Like, it's a very kind of the auteurship in her work is like you can tell just how strong it is. That
Well, you've
what she's
sold
doing.
me, and I missed the name. If you want to let me know again.
Caroline Polachek.
Okay.
Yeah. Christine and the Queens is also has mad stuff, like Michael Jackson inspired dance moves, but like.
So these are
The production-
performers, not necessarily.
Well, I don't know. I could talk about like, I mean, I've been inspired by people like, like people like Richie Houghton in terms of the sort of doing live production stuff.
Shout out Richie.
Shout out Richie Houghton. Like the Aphex Twin for just the freedom that he allows himself.
He does what he wants to do.
He does what he wants to do in every respect, really. Like, I don't know him, but like he might disagree. Maybe I don't know. Like from everything I know about him, he just does what he wants. You know. So yeah, that's been really
It has
inspiring.
earned nothing but respect amongst
Right.
millions of
Exactly.
people. Yeah.
Or Prince, like Prince did what he wanted. Like he was the biggest megastar that had ever existed at one point in the 80s, and then he was just like, I'm just going to continue to do exactly what I want. He started off like his own membership club, like Patreon, when the internet was very new, and managed to like separate himself from his record company, all that stuff. He was the best dancer, like fashion icon, bass player, keyboard player, singer. Jesus, I mean, where do you stop with Prince? Like, there was nothing that was beyond him, like musically speaking.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he made some like questionable music at times, but he never missed a note. Yeah. You will never hear Prince miss a note. So that for me is like, you can take inspiration from anyone, you know, like.
Who's doing what?
Or Ween, okay. Like a complete, like Ween are a band who are still going.
What is a song that I know like a long, long time ago?
Oh God, I mean, well, so they made this whole like nautical themed album in the late 90s, which inspired SpongeBob SquarePants. So there'd be no SpongeBob without this weird Ween album that was
Speaking
all like
of inspiration.
pirate sea shanties and stuff, and like weird, trippy.
There
like
was
things about
a
octopuses
big
and stuff.
song they put out though. I mean, when I was in high school, I want to feel like that's like.
Was it Ocean Man?
Sing it. Come on, give me. Well, don't.
Ocean Man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand.
It's beautiful.
Ween are just so, I love them so much.
They're really kind of out there, I would say.
Really out there, really
Yeah.
weird. Not always. Sometimes they do just these beautiful ballads about love and loss and like personal experiences and emotions. And then they'll do some weird trippy thing that's like they did this brilliant song. Check out Spirit Walker by Ween, which was on their last album back in 2008. And it's when like auto-tune was like big in the game in 2008. And so they used auto-tune and they did this really complex kind of proggy, sort of mystical, new age kind of piss take kind of thing. And it was, and it kept changing key, like it modulating to different keys, but they kept the auto-tune in the same key. And it sounds terrible. And they left it like that because it's hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Ween. I love Ween. Only that band would deliberately ruin a song for comic value and then leave it on the album.
Nothing but respect for that.
Yeah. So they're a big inspiration. Like
I have
just
a
to do
question.
weird stuff and not care.
Who else are you checking out that does something similar or adjacent to what you're doing?
Oh, well, like Mark Rebier.
Uh-huh.
Jamie Liddell was the first person to do it, as far as I know, back in the day. Like before Jamie Liddell, you have to go back to like Les Paul or whoever else, or these kind of like people who were pushing looping but never quite made it to the mainstream. So there was a looping tool called the Gibson Echoplex, which was a delay unit, and you can still find them, and they still work. And there was like a firmware update that was like a sort of little piratey, cheeky firmware update that you could put into this thing and turn it into a looper. And its feature set has never been bettered. And there were loads of people doing looping with this thing, but none of them really made it to the mainstream. And that, when I started looping, there was loads of that, people doing these weird soundscapes and weird little glitchy things. And I was like, I think I could do dance music with this. Not with that unit, but like with looping. There was a guy called MC Xander who's...
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
Yes.
And he is doing the kind of thing that I'm doing, not with like, MacBooks and code, but with Chaos pads. In fact, when I was first doing stuff with Chaos pads, which is what I used to use, it was because I saw him use one. So yeah, him, people like Dub FX as well.
Yep.
I've never been particularly influenced by what he does because we're quite different. Like I do more improvisation. He tends to write songs and perform them.
Yeah.
But like, it's inspiring to me that people like this exist.
Yeah.
And
really
even, I mean,
great.
well, now there's like tons of kids who are using the RC505 and whatever other, you know, the Line 6 Helix and all these other kinds of things, like hardware. And you can cobble together an amazing setup without a computer in sight, go completely doorless. And there's loads of kids doing it now. And in the last like 5 years, that started to happen. There was a kiddie called Saro who started off this modern like resurgence in beatbox-based looping. And he was using the RC505, which is the Boss unit, which I used to have in the rig, but I took it out because I was like, I've been trying to get rid of it. Because it's like this workhorse. It's kind of like a piece of plastic. It's very light, very reliable. Well, the faders break a lot. But they've addressed that in the new one. But like, but it's rock solid. It doesn't crash, you know. So I would take this out and just use it because it's fun to use. But like Saro showed how you could use it to make really impressive live beatbox-based electronic music, and you can use the very basic effects that are in it, like modular synthesis. And you, after his example, you got tons of other people. So I was a judge in 2019 at the SBX Beatbox Championship, which is like the biggest one. And the standard was nuts. And then this last year, just gone, which is the first one they've done since the pandemic, the standard was insane.
Yeah.
Because now they're allowing you to take in not just the RC505, which was like the only thing you were allowed to use in this round of the beatbox battle, but now you can take anything you want. So yeah, any gigantic guitar effects pedal.
Wild.
It's bananas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm inspired by every single person that's doing that, because if this can't better what they're doing, there's no point doing it at all.
Right.
So like, anytime there's like some like 17-year-old kid from somewhere random in the world doing something amazing on a piece of hardware, I like study it and I'm like, okay, can my rig do that? If not, why not? What can I do to do that and then try and best it in some way? Or do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a source of direct inspiration. Tim Exile.
Someone had a question if he wrote some code for you on something.
Oh yeah, contact me on my website.
Did Tim Exile do some coding for you?
Oh, did Tim Exile?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone was offering just to like type me some code. I was like,
no,
okay.
the question was...
Did Tim Exile? No, Tim Exile made... He currently makes this thing called Endless with 3 S's, and if you don't know, check it out. It's a jamming tool, and it allows you to jam asynchronously with anyone in the world. So you mess with a loop, there are stems, you can add to them, subtract from them. It's the whole like synth engine in there, which has a lot of what this has with the live quantization and stuff. You can set it to scales, so you can never make an amusical result. It's amazing. So you can, it has like chat room features as well. So check out Endless.
Shout out Tim Exile.
Shout out Tim Exile. But he inspired me back in like 2005 or 6 to start doing this at all. Like I saw him, I have this one particular memory of going to this breakcore festival. And breakcore, if you don't know...
I am unfamiliar.
You got to check it out.
All right.
But you got to be careful not to have your speakers up to full volume. It's just aiming breaks and screaming, madness. And it was a kind of punky kind of electronic music genre that was kind of... It was never big, but it was lots of fun in like the early aughts. Anyway, I was in this like cave in this rave in Austria, and I remember seeing Tim with his laptop and all these like things coming out of it and like knobs and dials, and I'd never seen anything like it in my life. This is, again, when this controllerism term was a thing. So he was just like making live breakcore, and it was completely formless. He wasn't obeying any musical rules or tropes at all, other than the sort of casual use of aim and breaks, but he was often making his synths live by like spitting into the mic, doing like basically making his own wavetables by just screaming into a head mic, and then reducing the sample, like the wavetable size, so that it was pitched. going mad with it, resampling it. So a lot of that stuff I have here only because I saw Tim doing that.
Wow.
And like if you buy Endless, his whole rig is in Endless. So lots of the features that are here, I've just wholesale stolen from inspiration from Tim.
Stolen the inspiration.
The inspiration,
Just
but
to be
none
clear.
of, but none of the code, none of the tech. But I could, if I wanted to, I suppose, just run Endless here, like just have an iPhone, and that would replace much of this. But yeah, so yeah, Tim is amazing, and Endless is incredible, and the fact that he's got it into an app is nuts. It's really wild, and he started to incorporate all this Web3 stuff, which is kind of controversial, but it now means that you can essentially, using crypto, profit off of successful loops. So like, there's this like internal like tokenomics system.
Nice.
I don't fully understand it, but it's way future. Tim is next level. Check out Endless. Go and join their Discord as well. Oh, join my Discord too, because it's really fun and cool and good.
Someone's asking if you still whip out a KP3 every once in a while for old time's sake.
No, I don't.
There it is, the definitive answer.
Well, I use them exclusively for years, and they break, and I got tired of them breaking. But they're amazing, you know. I miss them sometimes, but I don't miss the hiss that you couldn't get around. And I don't miss they didn't have a digital in and out. They weren't very configurable because they were just meant to like help DJs do fun effects and, you know, be fun for musicians and stuff like that. But they're quite limiting if you want to actually build a live production system on them. But it depends what you want to do. Like I say, like Mark Rebier, when I was asking him what he wanted out of the RC505 Mark II, he was like, nothing.
Doing
It's
it.
fine. But most people, I don't know if like people watching this will think this way, but most people don't imagine esoteric features all the time. But like people like me and Tim Exile and Jamie Liddell and whoever else, like or anyone who makes VSTs or plugins or audio stuff, people that use Max MSP, like there's a particular mindset which is like, oh, I can't do this. I wonder if there's a way. And then you just drill deeper and deeper and deeper until you figured out a way. But it's a real time sucker. So if you want to get into making your own system, like I would seriously advise not doing that because it takes so much time. Then if you are going to do it, you have to be really watchful for rabbit holes.
Yeah.
You got to like determine whether something is worth going into, or like allot yourself a maximum amount of time that you're willing to sink into a particular solution and be willing to compromise. So there's tons of compromises in here just because, yeah, I could have spent 3 weeks writing some really clever bit of code that would do something, or I could just learn how to use a slightly less user-friendly thing and have it work in 5 minutes.
There you go.
And just because there's only so much time in the world, and it's very easy to get sucked into black holes. So beware black holes.
Speaking of black holes, what do you say you do another performance and we can wrap it up?
Yeah. Well,
we
sure.
have some inspiration
Oh yeah, go on.
from me.
From you.
Yeah.
Go on, baby.
Can I do
Hit
that?
me.
Can I?
You can just say it. You can say it.
I want reggae infused hip hop with a little bit of glitch in there.
Infused hip hop with a little bit of glitch in there.
That's such a weird skank.
goodness.
Oh, I didn't even do. There's so much I didn't do.
I mean, we still got time if you want.
I've got this mad thing here.
What are we looking at right now?
Challenge just to live or die. As a samurai, you fight.
Is this gonna hit? Is this gonna get us hit with copyright?
Probably. Do you know what? I won't do that. But like, if you want to see me do that as well, then come to my fun internet party that's always happening over on my Patreon, or come and see me live in a real life room where you could catch COVID. Join us.
I was about to say that happens now, and then you were like, oh, boo.
Yeah. No, exactly. No, come and aircon. It got hot and sweaty here. We're gonna get naked now. It's gonna be crazy. No, so like, let's come and join me on tour. I won't.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Beardyman.
Yeah.
Every single day. He's not putting it on for the cameras. This is how he is in real life.
I do this every day, like it's nothing.
You're slamming it, dude. You're being the best Beardyman out there.
I'm being the truest me that I can be to myself.
All right.
If you want to help me be me, then come to my Patreon party.
Patreon party.
And we can party. Let's party together.
And Brighton on the 15th.
Brighton on the 15th, and Southampton on the 14th, I think, and Birmingham, and all the places. All of them.
Beardyman.co.uk.
UK/tour.
Tour.
TOUR. I'll see you there. Attendance is mandatory.
That's what I hear. That's the word on the internet.
Yeah. Your absence will be noted and passed on to the relevant authorities. Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's pretty much it, unless there's... if there's more you want to tell people about, or...
I don't know. Well, I could jam for another 5 hours, but I should probably
I've got
to do some babysitting in a sec. We're not really in a spaceship. It's my garage. I've got to do babysitting. It's really conventional sort of setup.
It looks so...
Really. It looks like I'm in the space laser.
It looks great. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who's doing your graphics, but it looks wonderful.
It's me. Oh, yeah. So if you want to know about how to do, this is Resolume. So Resolume, it's like a VJ software, and you can do stuff like this with it. If you want to know how to do crazy transitions like that.
Go slow. I love the light streaks.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
If you want to know how to do light streaks. So yeah, no, so I have a tier on my Patreon, which is called the Technical Consultants tier, and it's £10 a month. And for that, I give you all my secrets, and I help you with your rigs. If you really want to build one, I can...
Forget Masterclass. £10 a month, and you get access to
Beardyman.
Beardyman.
Yeah. Forget Deadmau5 showing you how to build mouse heads. I will show you how to make your life hell with touchscreen interfaces.
It's not hell. It's beautiful.
No, in fact, Deadmau5 has his own touchscreen interface that he put out. It's the one that he had built for himself. We're going off topic again. We're trying to round up, and I'm getting nerdy. Come chill, and we can get nerdy together. That's the sell. It's fun.
Can you jam one last time for us?
I can.
Do you know? Will you not?
I will.
We have a special request from the Beatport staff.
Okay.
That you do some techno. Is that possible?
Yeah. Techno is eminent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Techno is eminently
possible.
possible.
We're going to let Beardyman wrap it up with another improvised techno hit here. Thanks to everybody for joining. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch and Plugin Boutique YouTube and the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport Twitch. Phenomenon. the one and only Beardyman. I'm Joshua Casper. You're watching Beatport.
What's going on? Oh. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye. Shazam.